Okay guys, welcome, and this is my video on my Frostmage Weakauras for PvP as well as PvE. I'll be showing you and going through what I've set up here. First of all, I would like to note that when you switch between the PvE and the PvP part, you do need to make a little change for the trinkets, but that's always with trinkets. They can't really get auto-recognized. Anyway, let's get started. We're gonna go through all the talents basically that you might use, like for instance blazing speed. As you can see, oops, use my icy veins there as well. You can see cooldowns start running and it's desaturated in color when it's on cooldown. Well, that's blazing speed for you basically. Now, seeing I use flame glows for PvP, and this is my PvP setup pretty much. You will see over here the cone of cold thingy, and it does show the cone of cold cooldown. In PvE Frost I use ice barrier, and then ice barrier just overlaps this one, so ice barrier will be shown here in PvP or PvE, sorry. And when you're running with flame glows, it will be the cone of cold cooldown. Now, ring of frost will show up here. It will be invisible when it's off cooldown, and same goes for cold snap. Those two I didn't use desaturated because they will disappear anyway, and they will only show when they are on cooldown. I have reasons for that, but we'll get to that later. Well, that's cold snap and that. Then the frost nova shows how much stacks you have, and you will see a little thing there in the background, which is a frostbolt. That also has a very good reason, because when I change, there are certain PvE bosses where you might want to go unstable magic, and instead of just having one big gaping hole here, I've put an icon of frostbolt because it's the frost spec. Then obviously there's frost orb over here. You can see your cooldown, and ice block obviously, and that's meteor storm. Now, as you might see, there are you see the stacks of ice lands you have.
I can't pass that yet.
Over here. And why I've done this also for the brain freeze is because I usually turn off these blizzard things. So what I do is going to move anything and put on my default, well, it's not the default, but it's the Thibs profile, and then you will see once I get procs, I will not be getting my trinket proc. So you can see that's the PvP trinket that gives you some extra shit, some extra intellect. So yeah, there you go. We have procs, but it doesn't show up there. It only shows here. It's a little bit cleaner, I feel. So I can have this part of the screen empty. Plus, I mean, the Iceland's one is okay because you just see your stacks and that's fine. But like with the brain freeze one, if you get two, it's still just that little arch of frostfire, and I find that like I find the blizzard has really fell asleep on that one. Like that you get to see how much Iceland stacks you have, but not your frost firebolt stacks. So yeah, let's see if we can get a second one before we need to dump it. I guess not. Oh well, it doesn't matter. Then over here you have something that looks like an Iceland, but it's actually water jet. And seeing freeze and water jet shared cooldown, it will show for both. Which one you use, it doesn't matter. It will just show this this cooldown of both of them because they're shared. And this applies then for PvP and PvE both. Like in PvP you'll most likely use the freeze, and in PvE you will use the water jet. And personally I play with water jet bound so I can time it with frost bolts, so I can get more ice lance procs out of it. So if you're not doing that, you might want to do that, and that makes this part really handy. While we're in combat, right now I'm using Incanter's Flow, and here you can see the bubbles, and each bubble represents a stack. So when it's in the red you will be doing your least damage, and then like yellow is balanced, and then like green is like your optimal place. This is where you want to be dumping big burst thingies and timing them on
that spell isn't
that green bubble over there. Obviously counter spell is also in there, and that's basically the entire thing. Now there are a few different things that I want to add to it. First of all, ice flows. Let's spec into ice flows first. You'll see blazing speed disappeared and ice flows came back, and you will see that you have 3 stacks. Now while you have 3 stacks, that's all nice, but once you use one, hold on, I need to put it on my bars. Okay, so when you use one you will hear this crunch sound, and you will have, oh cool, I have 1 stack so I can move, and like I can also put both stacks in there and just keep moving. And that's that for ice flows. I also have ice barrier. So now ice barrier is over here, and once it goes on cooldown you will see the cooldown over here, and you will see the duration over here and the shield strength over here. In some PvP like situations I am spec'd into Frostjaw. So Frostjaw, I personally find it good for like 1v1ing people. I mean, like, it's a stun and it's a silence, so yeah, it's good all over. So if you have Frostjaw, it's on the same spot as Ring of Frost, so that's for that. Then we get to this part. I don't really use mirror image, but Rune of Power I do. So I got Rune Power over here. I just learned that. Oops. So yeah, let's put a Rune of Power down. Okay, and so when you're not standing on the Rune of Power, this will be red, but once you are in it, it will turn blue. So it's handy. In a lot of PvE bosses you kind of want to use this because you don't need to move around too much, and you can drop 2 of those anyway, so just drop those down and have them up. And this will show you basically if you're standing in it correctly or not, because like if you're right on the edge, you might, like, yeah. Then there is the level 100 talents. Now specifically the prismatic crystal obviously also is used in PvE a lot, so I've made it specifically for when you're spec'd into it. It will show up on the same place as the Comet Storm. In some PvE bosses I like to use Thermal Void, because like if you have long sustained fights where you kind of don't want to burst, it will just show the Thermal Void icon just to fill it up, like just so that if you do use Rune of Power, that you don't have this hole here with this round thingy around it, this block around it. It doesn't just feel empty over there. Well, that's pretty much the entire thing. I do like to note that currently I have set it up so that it shows no matter what, but usually when I use my Weakauras, I have them so that they only appear in combat, and this is how it's gonna be in the string that you can download. So yeah, just keep that in mind. So, and it's quite a big string, so your computer might freeze up for a bit. Now, important for the trinkets, let me just put on, like you'll see, I'm gonna go into my PvE frost gear, and then you'll see it still shows the PvP trinket. So what you are going to have to do is go into this thing basically, and just go at load and turn all the PvP trinkets at load onto never, like this, and that's it, and then it will show these trinkets. Now I haven't really updated my trinkets for because it still shows the beastload trinket, but basically I still do have the Black Iron Crucible in this one, and if you ever change trinkets you need to update that yourself. So as far as trinkets goes, you need a little bit of knowledge of Weakauras to be able to edit it, but it's not that much, and basically this will just show when it procs, if it ever procs. Let's just see over here.
That's still recharging. I can't cast that yet. That's still recharging.
Come on. There we go. And then you see how much duration you have on it. It basically does the same for the Beastload trinket, but I don't use that one anymore. I think I disenchanted it, but yeah. I've tried to make an icicle counter, but apparently on the forums it says that it's impossible, it's not doable, so you're just gonna have to keep count on your own character. It's quite obvious anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But it's pretty much set up for any situation. I did forget one very important thing I just thought of, and that is greater invisibility. In PvE I use greater invisibility purely because you can remove 2 dots and it gives you a 90% reduction. So basically once you go into invisibility, the cooldown will show over here, and as long as you're invisible this will show as a flat icon, like you are invisible in greater visibility right now, meaning you will take 90% less damage. Once this runs out, or you get some damage and break your invisibility, over here it will show a counter for how long you are still taking 90% less damage, and it's gone. So yeah, that's basically the entire Weakauras. As far as the Rune of Power over here goes, this is my elf UI. If you feel the need for something like that, you might as well use elf UI, because it has a tracker for that sort of stuff. Well, that's about it. Enjoy, guys.